Are you aware that more than 60% of all calories purchased at the grocery store are now ultra-processed foods? These types of foods have gone from making up only 1% of our calories back in 1980 to almost 60% of all calories we eat today. And the numbers keep going up and up and up every year. So here's the truth about what these foods are really doing to your body. First off, let me explain that these types of foods are not just junk foods. They aren't just pizza and burgers and ice cream. In fact, the definition of ultra-processed foods is any packaged food that contains more than 5 ingredients. Anything with more than 5 ingredients is considered an ultra-processed food, and this includes so many different things. It includes cereals, crackers, chips, sodas, soup, salad dressing, condiments, frozen meals, pre-packaged meats, veggie burgers, vegetarian dishes, fruit juices and smoothies, protein bars, diet foods, gluten-free foods, vegan foods, and the list goes on and on and on. Most of us eat something like this every day without even realizing it. So you might be asking yourself, what's the big deal? Well, first off, just take a look at the ingredient label on some of your favorite foods and see for yourself just how many ingredients are actually in there. If you're drinking soda or juice, if you're eating cereal or crackers, chips, or even a protein bar, I promise you, if you look at the ingredient label, you will see that most of these foods contain more than 5 ingredients. Because of this, these foods have been linked to health problems like obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and premature death. This is why it's important to pay attention to what you're eating, and also to pay attention to this video to find out exactly what is happening to your body when you consume these types of foods. One of the biggest problems that people have is eating too many processed foods. Now, when I talk about processed foods, I don't just mean junk foods. I'm talking about any food that comes in a package or a box or comes from a restaurant or takeout. And trust me, this includes foods that you probably didn't think were processed. So stay tuned to find out which foods I'm talking about. The first thing that happens to your body when you eat processed foods is that they cause massive amounts of inflammation throughout your entire body. This is because processed foods contain ingredients that cause your body to react as if you were having an allergic reaction. As soon as you start consuming processed foods, your immune system starts getting triggered. And this causes inflammation in your arteries, around your organs, inside your joints, and even in your brain. The main culprit behind this is something called mannitol. Mannitol is a sugar alcohol found in lots of low-calorie foods like sugar-free desserts, diet drinks, and fat-free yogurt. When your body encounters mannitol, it reacts as if it's a threat, causing your immune system to overreact and triggering inflammation. Odd. But it doesn't stop there. Processed foods also contain other inflammatory ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, trans fats, refined flour, and added sugars. Let's start with high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is an incredibly sweet-tasting ingredient used in almost everything from soda and juice to candy and bread. But here's the thing. Your body can't digest high fructose corn syrup. In fact, when you eat high fructose corn syrup, it acts as a toxin and it gets stored in your organs. So the more high fructose corn syrup you eat, the more you fill up your liver and your viscera and your muscles with this sugary toxin. And this is what leads to inflammation. But then we have trans fats. Trans fats are also widely used in processed foods, and they're used to extend the shelf life of the food. You'll find trans fats in fried foods, baked goods, and coffee creamers. Trans fats are extremely inflammatory and have been shown to lead to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Next is refined flour. Refined flour is made from grains like wheat and soy. Refined flour is found in breads, pasta, and cereal. Unfortunately, refined flour has most of its nutrients removed, leaving you with a starchy carbohydrate that quickly turns into sugar in your body. The problem is that eating too much of this type of sugar very quickly causes your blood sugar levels to spike and then crash, which leads to inflammation. Finally, we have added sugars. Added sugars are just that, extra sugar added into foods. It's found in soda and juice, desserts, and breakfast cereals. Eating added sugars on a regular basis causes you to develop insulin resistance, which leads to metabolic syndrome and chronic inflammation. Next up, processed foods lead to leaky gut. Our intestines have millions of tiny holes in them, and these holes allow nutrients to pass through while keeping harmful bacteria out. Unfortunately, when you start eating too many processed foods, you start developing microscopic leaks in the lining of your intestines. And when this happens, you start getting microscopic leaks in your gut, and you start getting microscopic leaks in your blood-brain barrier. And when this happens, you start getting microscopic leaks in your gut, and this allows toxins and undigested food particles to enter your body. When this happens, your immune system overreacts, and you develop food allergies and autoimmune diseases. The worst part is that once you develop leaky gut, you start getting microscopic leaks in your blood-brain barrier, and that leads to depression, anxiety, and even Parkinson's disease. Now, so far we've talked about inflammation and leaky gut, but that's not all that processed foods do to your body. In fact, one of the most shocking things that they do is that they can completely alter the way that your body uses food, which is why processed foods are literally addictive. After just 2 weeks of eating processed foods, you develop something called leptin resistance. Leptin is a hormone that tells your brain that you're full. But when you eat too many processed foods, your body becomes less sensitive to leptin, and this makes you feel hungry all the time. In fact, researchers have studied this, and they found that people who eat more processed foods have higher levels of hunger hormones and lower levels of fullness hormones. This makes it harder and harder to feel satisfied after you eat, and it makes it easier and easier to overeat. In fact, when you eat too many processed foods, your body changes the way that it uses glucose, which alters your metabolism, and this leads to weight gain and obesity. Finally, we have the most shocking thing that processed foods do to your body, and that is that they can lead to behaviors similar to addiction. Researchers at Yale University have taken a deep dive into this topic, and they concluded that eating too many processed foods can lead to binge eating disorder, and this can lead to obesity and other chronic medical conditions. The main culprit is the combination of all of these 3 factors that I just talked about: inflammation, leaky gut, and altered metabolism. These 3 factors together cause you to overeat and crave more processed foods, and this causes you to develop a vicious cycle of eating too many processed foods. So let's recap what we've talked about today. Processed foods are any food that contains more than 5 ingredients, and these make up about 60% of all calories that we eat today. Unfortunately, eating too many processed foods causes inflammation throughout your body, especially in your arteries and your organs. This leads to leaky gut, which leads to food allergies and autoimmune diseases. Next, eating too many processed foods causes you to develop leptin resistance. Leptin resistance makes you feel hungrier for longer periods of time, which leads to overeating and obesity. And finally, eating too many processed foods can lead to behaviors similar to addiction, including binge eating disorder. So hopefully this video helps you understand what happens to your body when you eat processed foods. So please take a moment and comment below and tell me, did this video change the way that you think about processed foods? Also, if you'd like to learn about simple habits to help you eat healthier, check out other videos on our channel. Thank you for watching, and stay healthy, my friends.